So I'm the creative director and visual effects supervisor at Pariah Studios. My workflow personally is possibly slightly different to what would be used over the workflow in the studio, but I try to marry the two together. It really depends on the client's pipeline and what we're doing for them. So I've been doing 3D now, and like I say, photography and videography and everything, cinema photography, for a long time. At the moment, my kind of solid core workflow would be Cinema 4D for 3D work with a bit of Maya here and there if I need it, and ZBrush. I do use Maya a fair bit, but for my own reasons, I'm just happier in Cinema 4D. It's a friendlier place to be. It's a very broad piece of software which allows you to do an awful lot, and what I really like about it is there's a fantastic community, very friendly, helpful, creative community, and there's also an awful lot of plugins, as there are for other software, but the plugins for Cinema 4D tend to be integrated much better than I've ever seen anywhere else. I've been a part of creating a few of them myself, so like the GSG Light Kit Pro and the texture packs, and I had a hand in building some of those, and I think there's just such a wide community and a wide range. If there's a tool that you need, it probably exists. And if it doesn't, have a conversation with somebody and it will probably pop up. So that's my kind of core host software, Cinema 4D. I do use Lightwave and Maya, like I said, as well, and a few others. Photoshop, obviously, you kind of have to. Although Cinema's body paint is fantastic, it's always nice to get into Photoshop. Just to kind of do any tweaks, and After Effects and Premiere, kind of my compositor and image editor and video editor of choice. And then we come to the rendering solutions. So I've used all of them over the years, everything for, V-Ray and Corona and iRay and all those sort of things, but Maxwell Render is my favorite for many reasons. Firstly, I love the quality of it. There's something about the aesthetic of that non-biased render that comes through, which I really love. Secondly, it's just versatile, and the plugin for a start in Cinema works wonderfully well. It's very well integrated, but I think things like the speed of your entire workflow is what gets me. So sometimes people might think that external unbiased render is a kind of a slow option, but actually that's just not the case. So Maxwell has this thing called multi-light, as you know, where you can do your render, and then even during the render and post-render you can change the intensities of lights, and that for visual effects work and visualization work is just a massive thing, because it means that if a client says to me, I need more light on that side of an object to match footage that they might have shot, I can do it. Or if they just, for taste reasons, they might want more emphasis on a certain area of the shot, then I can do it, and I don't have to re-render the scene, and that for me is it's such a powerful tool. I couldn't do without it now. I started using Maxwell Render, I think, on version 1.2, so a few years ago now, and I think because I did a stint as a technical editor at 3D World magazine, I had access to a lot of software that maybe I wouldn't have invested in otherwise, and that kind of opened the doors to me, so that I used Maxwell without really realizing what I was getting into, and from there I was just kind of blown away by the quality of it, so that's why I use it in almost all of my work now. I continue to use Maxwell for the reasons I've given, really. One's the quality is fantastic. Second, the speed in my workflow, it just fits in my pipeline perfectly well. It's consistent and I know exactly what it's going to get, so it's predictable but in a really good way. So I know that if I apply a material to an object, I know exactly how that material is going to come out. It's not going to give me any nasty surprises, and I've got to the point where I can kind of deal with any of the weird artifacts that you get, because every piece of software, no matter how good it is going to do things that you don't like, and you have to find a workaround. Maxwell has the least of those out of any render engine I've used, and you occasionally get these little fireflies, and that's usually down to user error. It's just kind of ignorance of what you're doing. So you might push things, you might push lights up way too high and not change the ISO or the shutter speed, because it works in a photographic kind of way, which is what I really love about it, because with my photographic background, it means that I kind of understand out of the box exactly what it's doing. And I think most people probably could get that benefit from it, because everybody knows what a shutter button is and all that kind of stuff. And so that's why I continue to use it, and I hope that I will for years to come. The improvements coming thick and fast. I know it has open VDB, so I can do volume rendering. The ocean system inside it is brilliant, and also the grass engine I think is one of the best I've seen. It's very, very easy to use. You can drive all aspects of it just using grayscale image maps, and that's fantastic because it makes it very easy. It means that the overheads of driving textures are very low. You don't have to have huge files driving where your grass is going to be, so that sort of thing means a lot to people that are doing my kind of a work.